Okay, welcome back to the horror of video games. Today I'm talking about health packs. Now the reason I'm talking about this today is I was replaying Resident Evil through just for a bit of fun, and I chose normal difficulty because I think that's a very enjoyable difficulty setting on Resident Evil, and I was playing as Chris and making my way through the game, and then I started to notice this theme which kept cropping up, and it's the use of health packs in the game. Specifically, we're talking about herbs or first aid sprays. And it made me think about the level design of Resident Evil and how the first half of the game where you're stuck in the mansion, sometimes you just have to force your way through corridors. You have to just kind of barge your way through zombies after zombies, and it made me think that health packs should be viewed in the same way as bullets do, really. The same as picking up a magazine or picking up a box of shotgun shells should be viewed in the same way as picking up health, because in some ways health could be the equivalent of, say, a magazine or a box of shotgun shells. And what happens in Resident Evil, when the difficulty settings go up, what happens is that you have to start making these tactical choices. You have to start thinking, right, okay, so I've got one first aid spray, I've got two magazines, I've got etc, etc. You have to think to yourself, do I use health to get through, or do I use bullets to get through? Which is more valuable in this game? And it sets up this sense of economy within the game. That's, what do you want to trade with? Do you want to trade with bullets, or do you want to trade with herbs? And also, I feel that health packs in Resident Evil, in some ways, they directly correlate to progress. Now, if there are, in the U-shaped corridor, there are sometimes 3 zombies in that corridor, and sometimes the only way to get through that is just to barge through them, basically. And you need a health pack to do that. And so if you're running low on bullets, you just use a health pack instead. So it's this kind of trading that happens within the game, which adds another level of dynamism to the game. And it also makes me think that health packs are almost a passive form of attack. So you have bullets, which are aggressive forms of attack, whereas health packs are more passive items, really. They may as well just be extra bullets, really. I mean, you could easily say, I'm going to take all the health packs out of the game and just replace them with bullets, and just, I wonder what would happen if you did that with a horror game. If you just said, right, you have no health, but you have tons of ammunition. So how would that impact on the game? And when I was talking about the tactical decisions, the compromises and the sacrifices within Resident Evil, there's this great sense of relief once you've cleared out the 2 main corridors that surround the save areas. And it really, you're constantly thinking, should I use bullets? Should I use health packs? Should I run around them? How much kerosene do I have? You're constantly thinking, will I get the headshots? Should I use a frag grenade? I find the first section of Resident Evil to be fascinating because you're constantly juggling item management. I mean, with Chris, you only have 6 items. So let's say the first 2 items are taken up by your pistol and ammunition. Then you're only left with 4 items. So, with the death mask example and when you return with the helmet key, the game is presenting you with choices. And there are so many different ways you could complete the first section of the game in the mansion. You could either take all death masks at the same time, you could take maybe 2 trips, 2 sets of 2, or 1 at a time. So I really feel the first half of Resident Evil is this juggling act, almost. It's this kind of, there's not enough ammunition to kill everything in the mansion, so you're going to have to make a compromise. And I really was thinking that with health packs, there are certain bits in the game which are just narrow corridors, and you really have no choice but to force your way through, and the only way to do that without any ammunition is with a health pack. You can take the damage and you can heal it off. So I feel like I have this kind of different relationship with the health packs in Resident Evil, because my character feels more vulnerable, maybe because my character can get killed very easily. Doom 3, Fear, etc., Alan Wake, you can weather quite a lot of hits in those games. You can really take a hammering in those games, and I think in Alan Wake your health regenerates as well, and I feel there's a direct trade-off between using health, your vulnerability, the character's health, how much damage you can take, and the health packs contribute to this tactical play within Resident Evil. I mean, for example, you can only really take possibly 3 hits in Resident Evil, on normal difficulty anyway. So you can be grabbed 3 times and then you're dead, basically. So this feeling of vulnerability is very strong in Resident Evil. You feel frail, you feel weak, and you need these herbs to keep you alive. And there's this constant feeling of the trade in Resident Evil. Do I trade bullets? Do I trade health? Do I use the shotgun? Shotgun shells are more valuable than bullets. How many shotgun shells do I use? There's constant, what do I do now? This game is absolutely fascinating. I mean, there are times where you're in the safe room and you just think, what should I do? I mean, what should I do now? Should I take the death mask with me? Should I take this with me or that item with me? Once you've familiarized yourself with the game really well, like the game opens up to this great tactical play. You think, do I go down this corridor or do I go down this way? You can plan out your strategy, like your long-term strategy in this game. It is really, really interesting. Once you understand the game and you understand the layout of the map, and it becomes this almost strategic game. It takes on this extra quality to the game, and I think anyone who knows this game very well, like I do, will understand what I'm talking about. This kind of longer term vision. You think, right, I'll go through this corridor, and then this corridor, and then go through this area, and then I'm going to use this item and I'm going to have this item slot spare, so I can do this, I can go here, get the fake shotgun, replace it with the good shotgun, do this and that, and it's like you're playing skipping stones or something. You're jumping from stone to stone, and you know exactly what you need for every situation. It really is. I mean, I'm not a speedrunner by any stretch of the imagination, but I do take pleasure in trying to beat this game in, say, under 5 hours. I think I wanted to say about Resident Evil is the fact that you have to have this longer term planning strategy within your game, and you're thinking, it's not just this zombie you have to get through, it's not just these groups of zombies, it's the connecting corridors that surround you, and the interconnectedness, the kind of chain reaction of resource management throughout the game. And with Chris, you only have, like I said, 6 items, so you have to think, what am I going to do? And the game is very unique because it's actually actively encouraging you to take less weaponry, which is very counterintuitive, and it's actually quite unique because in other games, the solution to the problem is to take more weaponry. The aim of the game is to take more rockets or bigger weapons, whereas in Resident Evil, if you take a pistol and a shotgun and both sets of ammo, then you can't really complete the game because you need to carry items with you throughout the game. So the game is telling you, take less weaponry, and I think this is quite a unique characteristic of Resident Evil. And like I say, with the interconnectedness of this game, you're constantly thinking about the resources and the chain reaction of using certain resources and how that's going to possibly punish you later in the game, which makes the gameplay experience of Resident Evil extremely compelling and extremely replayable. When you're engaging with an enemy, when you're shooting your BFG or your chain gun or your rocket launcher or whatever, the player's immediate focus is with just that enemy. Whereas in Resident Evil, you're constantly thinking about the implications of resource management. It's not just the zombie in front of you. You're thinking about the other 3 or 4 other zombies which are in your way. You're thinking, what's in front of you? What's on the next, what's in the next corridor? And, I think this kind of longer term planning is unique to Resident Evil, I feel anyway, because I don't feel the same way when I'm going through the corridors of Fear or Doom 3. I'm not really thinking to myself, what about the next corridor? Because I know there's going to be more ammunition, there's going to be more health packs, there's going to be more stuff lying around. So I don't need to worry about the next corridor, but you do have to do that in Resident Evil. You have to worry about the next corridor because ammo's scarce. Health packs are scarce, and the zombies are dangerous. They can kill you fairly quickly. So I think this is why Resident Evil is such a special game and such a rewarding game to play. Now, a game I wanted to talk about for quite some time now is Limbo. Now, I wanted to present this idea that what happens in a horror game, when you take away health packs, when you take away weapons, when you take away item management, and you're left with a game called Limbo. So what is the effect of taking away all these resources? What is the effect of taking away health packs? So what happens in Limbo is, just a few spoilers maybe about Limbo. You're this little boy going through this kind of dark world, and this dark, intimidating world, and you're all alone and you have to figure out what's going on, and you've got to escape the situation. Now, by taking away health packs, by taking away weaponry, you're left with, a simple platforming game, which the emphasis is much more about the world. The emphasis is much more about the scenario and the situation the boy is stuck in, rather than the boy himself. I feel much more emphasis and much more attention gets shifted onto the game world rather than the character in Limbo. Because ultimately, games with health packs and guns and bullets, that would inherently suggest that the game is placing an emphasis on keeping the player alive as best as possible. So therefore, the emphasis on Resident Evil is with Chris or with Jill and keeping them alive, because there are health packs to keep your characters alive. So in those games, the emphasis is definitely on keeping your player alive, and the character in some ways is more important than the game world. But this kind of inverts itself with Limbo, because it's the predicament the boy is in which is kind of more profound than the boy himself. This kind of limbo world is, what is this world? Why is this boy stuck there? How can he escape? You take away all these items and you're left with a game like Limbo, which I think is a fantastic little game, which I want to talk about a bit more in other videos. But, so I just wanted to present the idea that what happens when you take away all these items and you're left with a game like Limbo. And I would make the statement that Resident Evil is a kind of thinking man's horror game, because you may have seen in the footage, there are moments where I'm in the safe room just pondering my next move and thinking, oh, do I need this item or that item, or this kind of reflection, this kind of stopping and thinking about your situation. This doesn't occur in many other horror games. It just, all other games, it's just blast your way through, you're going in one direction, it's just kill everything that moves. And Resident Evil allows the player to take stock of their situation in the safe rooms and think, how many bullets do I have? How much health do I have? And so as a result of this, I would say Resident Evil is a far more intellectually engaging experience than any other horror game I've played. So in conclusion, why do I think the health packs in Resident Evil to be superior to other health packs in other horror games? The first main reason for this is because the health packs in Resident Evil are precious. And the second reason is that health packs form a gameplay functionality that goes beyond just healing the player. For example, health packs play a prominent role in progressing through the game in terms of barging through enemies, in terms of pushing your way through corridors. And so I feel like the functionality of health packs in Resident Evil goes beyond the normal uses in other horror games. And also, health packs contribute to this tactical play, this kind of long-term planning, this kind of strategic way of thinking, which health packs in other games don't have this quality. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe. You can tweet me at thehorrorofvg, or you can see my blog at thehorrorofvideogames.com. See you next time.